There was an emergency hearing in court today, and we just watched it all.
New big development around Diddy as we're following this case very closely here on Live Now from Fox, as Diddy's lawyers say the feds raided his jail cell and seized a bunch of privileged materials. Diddy's lawyers are claiming that it violates his Fourth Amendment right. However, inmates don't have Fourth Amendment expectation of privacy in prison, so that argument is weak. Guards can search his cell without probable cause or a warrant. So a big development there in terms of this.
The latest revelation in the ongoing drama surrounding Scene Diddy comms has sent shockwaves around the world. FBI agents have reportedly uncovered a chilling discovery inside Diddy's prison cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, further complicating his already controversial case. The mysterious and incriminating item found is said to potentially link Diddy to previously undisclosed criminal activities, sparking even more questions about the extent of his alleged operations. This bombshell has left the public, legal experts, and high-profile figures stunned, as its implications could dramatically alter the narrative surrounding one of the most iconic figures in the music industry.
So the Diddy situation just got a lot more heated. He's been committing crimes from his jail cell, trying to obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses, and the FBI, they just raided his jail cell. Now this really pisses defense attorneys off because clearly they've gathered evidence that's gonna make it a lot harder for them to do their jobs, because he was in there writing notes, probably potentially to send out third party to other people to have them continue intimidating witnesses. Keep in mind that all of this comes right on the heels of them having recorded jail phone calls of him using other people's phone accounts to be able to contact people and have them contact witnesses. All of this is super illegal to do. Now his attorneys are claiming that some of the stuff that they took was actually covered under attorney-client privilege. Basically, if you have communications between you and your attorney, they're not allowed to touch that. But the FBI has already countered with the fact that they have a private, objective third party that's gone through and made sure that that's not anything that they're looking at. But now there's an emergency court hearing to determine what's going to happen out of all of this, and we're going to keep you updated.
Diddy's legal team is demanding the dismissal of his trafficking case, pointing to alleged prosecutorial errors during a recent prison cell search. In an emergency court hearing in New York on Tuesday, his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, accused federal prosecutors of violating Diddy's constitutional rights, a move that could jeopardize the case against the music mogul.
Now that the pressure is mounting and the stakes are getting higher in this federal sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. This afternoon, we received a last-minute notice from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying that there would be an emergency hearing right here at the federal courthouse at 500 Pearl Street, and new allegations, but this time being made by Diddy's defense against prosecutors. Diddy's defense team slammed prosecutors for what they say was a violation of attorney-client privilege.
The dispute revolves around the October 28th search of Diddy's cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he has been held since his arrest on September 17th. Federal investigators allegedly seized 19 pages of notes, some of which contained privileged communications between Diddy and his legal team regarding defense strategies for his upcoming trial. These notes were later handed over to prosecutors, causing outrage from the defense team.
A violation of Diddy's Fourth Amendment constitutional right against unreasonable searches and seizures. It all goes back to that raid by the FBI, DEA, and other agencies on the Metropolitan Detention Center, known as MDC, in late October. That's where Diddy has been locked down.
Agnifilo argued that the seizure of these documents was a clear example of institutional failure, describing the cell search as a pretext to target Diddy, whose real name is Scene Comms. He explained that the documents included handwritten notes outlining defense strategies, as well as a to-do list that raised eyebrows due to its controversial contents.
Today, just a little bit ago, Mark Agnifilo, his expert lawyer, filed paperwork with this same judge accusing the feds of wrongdoing. They claim that Puff's civil rights were violated after his jail cell was recently raided and a bunch of materials were taken from that. materials that his lawyer claimed were attorney-client privilege.
The defense claims that the list contained instructions for a family member to dig up damaging information on 2 alleged victims. Additionally, some of the seized documents included personal pages with motivational quotes that Diddy had written for self-encouragement.
But Mark, his lawyer, says lots of personal items were seized, including messages between Diddy and his lawyers. In other words, items that were subject to attorney-client privilege. Handwritten notes to his lawyers concerning defense witnesses and defense strategies, which were absolutely privileged. The attorney argues that taking them violates Diddy's 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights.
During the hearing, the defense proposed several potential remedies for the alleged misconduct, including the complete dismissal of the indictment or the removal of the current prosecution team to ensure a fair trial. "We don't yet have all the facts to determine the best course of action," Agnifilo admitted, adding, "But the severity of this breach cannot be overstated." Judge On Subramanian recognized the seriousness of the defense's allegations and issued a preliminary ruling, ordering the prosecution to delete all copies of the confiscated documents for the time being.
There's an emergency hearing called this afternoon at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell.
The judge further emphasized that any improper use of confidential materials could lead to severe repercussions, such as substantial delays or even the dismissal of the case. He ordered an urgent review of the circumstances surrounding the cell search to assess whether there had been any misconduct by the prosecution. The timing of the defense's revelation of the alleged violation has added another layer of complexity to the case. Agnifilo informed the court that the defense only became aware last Friday that the prosecution had gained access to the seized documents, almost a month after the October 28th raid.
Well, apparently, according to the defense, they're legal documents. The government's saying no, on the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar. And what the judge did, Judge Subramanian, is he ordered the prosecution to destroy their copies. He kept copies, and he's going to review them in chambers or in camera. And one of 2 things will happen. Either the defense is right, and those are privileged materials, in which case they will not go to the prosecution, or the prosecution is right, and they have nothing to do with the legal case, and the government will get copies. It's only 20 pages. I don't think it'll take the judge that long. But I think the media is reporting this as some huge win for the defense because the government has to destroy their copies. They may get copies of those documents in a matter of days.
The defense team is now carrying out its own investigation into the incident to determine the full scope of the violation and its potential consequences. Agnifilo has pledged to hold accountable anyone responsible for undermining Diddy's legal rights.
Combs was arrested on Monday, months after federal agents raided his homes. He also faces several civil lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault over the past few decades.
Since his arrest in September, Diddy has consistently denied all charges and maintained his innocence. His trial is set to begin in May 2025.
Helping at 5, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back inside a federal courtroom here in New York.
All right, a trial date's now been set for May 5th of next year. Lisa Evers live in Lower Manhattan with the very latest today. Lisa.
Well, Stephen, Natasha, this was Sean Diddy Combs' 3rd time in the courthouse you see right behind me, his 1st time before a new judge. They did handle these calendar matters and also set that May 5th, 2025.
As the trial date in May draws closer, this upcoming appearance is expected to shed more light on the case and any updates related to the racketeering and trafficking charges. Observers will be eager to see how Diddy and his legal team prepare for the challenges that lie ahead in the meantime.
A U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male sex workers across state lines to take part in recorded sexual performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence.
Legal experts are skeptical that Diddy's trial will proceed as planned in May, given the complexities surrounding the case. The involvement of multiple underage victims requires a thorough investigation to ensure their safety and credibility, which typically extends the legal process. Gathering enough evidence, verifying testimonies, and addressing potential legal motions from the defense could lead to delays. Moreover, the high-profile nature of the case, coupled with intense media scrutiny and complex legal strategies, further complicates the situation.
There's no way this trial's then going to happen in May?
It's unlikely, especially if there's a superseding indictment involving minors, because minors present a completely different set of circumstances. Because we know through his lawyers, Combs is arguing that the sexual activity happened, but it was consensual. Of course, for sex trafficking, you need one of those three elements: force, fraud, or coercion. Obviously, minors cannot consent to any sexual activity, so that would be a very different defense entirely. The defense would have to be that the activity didn't happen at all and the individuals are lying. So I think that's going to be the potential game changer if we do get the minors wrapped up into a superseding indictment. And we know, at least if you believe the civil attorneys, there are 25 minor victims, one of which is as young as 9.
And those suits haven't been filed yet, but that's what Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, has indicated.
The involvement of minors as victims adds further legal complications, such as assessing their capacity to testify and ensuring measures are in place to protect their identities and well-being. Courts must follow sensitive procedures to reduce trauma, including allowing closed testimonies or remote appearances. Legal teams also face the challenge of ensuring that any evidence related to minors meets strict admissibility standards.
For decades, Sean Combs, the defendant, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
These safeguards, while crucial, often prolong the pre-trial process. The need to coordinate with child advocacy experts and ensure compliance with child protection laws further complicates matters. These factors significantly affect the timeline and logistics of high-profile cases like Diddy's.
I think I made my point clear. So if child welfare come in here in 30 minutes, that's on y'all. My kid's downstairs. 15 minutes, the kids have to go. Thank you very much.
Recent developments in the ongoing legal case against Diddy reveal that 120 victims have come forward with allegations. This substantial number of claims could have a major impact on the proceedings, placing added pressure on Diddy and his legal team.
As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females.
The case has taken a disturbing turn, with reports suggesting that the list of alleged victims includes children as young as 9 years old, in addition to both women and men.
There's new allegations against Sean P. Diddy Combs. A Texas attorney says he now represents, get this, 120 alleged victims, male and female, adults and children, whose allegations span more than 30 years. The accounts of the alleged victims have not been fully vetted, but their claims involve drug-fueled sexual assaults similar to what the feds described in their criminal indictment of the music mogul. Diddy's currently sitting in a federal jail awaiting trial on sex trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy charges. He pleaded not guilty to all charges, and his attorney once again stated that his client emphatically denies any claim that he sexually abused anyone, end quote. Here's the bottom line. He looked for bail once, couldn't get it. Looked for it twice, couldn't get it.
Diddy's legal team is vigorously working to secure his release from jail, maintaining that their client is innocent of the charges against him.
Now, through an attorney, the defense is reportedly confident in this case, as Sean Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said he'll fight like hell for his client.
So this was the first step. We have a bail appeal scheduled for tomorrow at 3:30. in front of Judge Carter, the district judge assigned to this case. I think that we made the points that we've been wanting to make. I think he came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government said in their presentation today that changes anyone's mind about anything.
The allegations of prosecutorial misconduct could have a major effect on the trial's outcome. If the court determines that federal investigators or prosecutors acted improperly during the cell search, it could result in various consequences, including the exclusion of crucial evidence or even the dismissal of the case. Legal experts argue that the seizure of privileged documents could strengthen the defense's claim that Diddy has not been given a fair trial.
His lawyers argue that the government's case is thin, meaning his team must believe that the feds don't have enough evidence. Additionally, they are arguing that he is not getting a fair trial because of where he is currently housed. He's currently at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and his lawyers claim the MDC lacks the resources to help Diddy view the voluminous video and photographic evidence in the case in order to build his defense.
Combs' legal team has now proposed a $50 million bail package, which would include home confinement if he were released from the MDC. This proposal marks a significant shift from previous requests and highlights their increasing urgency to get him out of the infamous detention center. However, prosecutors have strongly opposed the bail request. In their filing, they argued that Combs' behavior while in detention mirrors the coercive tactics alleged in the federal charges against him. They contend that granting bail would only give him more opportunities to interfere with witnesses and disrupt the judicial process.
And this is the fourth attempt and fourth different package that his attorneys have put together. And actually, I think this time they have a pretty strong argument, multiple arguments, for why they should let him out now. Some things, though, remain the same. As in previous attempts to get Diddy out on bail, his team has proposed a $50 million package. Additionally, and I cannot believe that Diddy agreed to this, he, if released on these terms, has volunteered for substance abuse testing, meaning to see if he has any hugs in his system. His family visits will be monitored by security, and he will have round-the-clock security to make sure that he isn't attempting to influence the case in any way, such as intimidating potential witnesses. Additionally, Diddy has agreed to not have access to the internet or cell phone.
Recently, an interagency task force was deployed to conduct a thorough search of the Metropolitan Detention Center due to security concerns arising from the facility's conditions. This unprecedented action comes amid the ongoing investigation into Diddy, as authorities work to ensure the safety and well-being of both inmates and staff. Officials have raised alarms over reports of overcrowding, lack of resources, and potential vulnerabilities that could jeopardize the integrity of the detention center.
Well, Bill, the Bureau of Prisons will only say this is an interagency operation to maintain a safe environment, but sources tell ABC News that inmates are not the target, and attorneys who've been seeing clients here for years say the timing is very curious.
None of these issues are revelations that all of a sudden, oh my goodness, we need to go and address them.
Early Monday morning, staffers at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn met by dozens of federal agents and drug-sniffing dogs in search of any illegal items being smuggled inside.
One is left to wonder, is it the publicity, from those of notoriety, those well-known that are trying to get out of this?
The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where Diddy is currently being held, has earned a notorious reputation. Often described as hell on earth, due to its harsh and inhumane conditions. The facility, which houses both pre-trial detainees and convicted inmates, has been the subject of numerous allegations over the years.
Sean Diddy Combs back in court to request bail complains of horrific New York City jail conditions. My opinion! This dude, is he for real requesting bail? This is the same dude who conveniently skipped town when the authorities were raiding his houses, talking about, oh, I didn't know y'all were looking for me, fellas. Well, now you know, so could you come back in town? Because we got some questions for you. But I tell you what, after my vacation, I'll be right in to answer all your questions. Like, does he think the judge is stupid? If he gets bailed, that guy is gone forever. Off to some country with no extradition treaty, living a lube-room-having lifestyle, because he's got the money, and apparently a lot of lube for some reason. No, buddy. You stay right there. You're right where you belong. But it's so uncomfortable. Like there's no oceanfront view, no state-of-the-art gym. They got me sleeping on a twin mattress. It's not even a memory foam mattress. It's so uncomfortable. Yo, it's jail. It's not supposed to be comfortable. Like, why do these rich people think, oh, I'm going to be living a life in jail? No, my friend. Suck it up. Actually, you know what? Don't suck up anything in jail. Don't do that. And that's not your thing. Like, don't let me impose my thinking on you. You live your lifestyle. You live your truth. Now, what if after years of being in jail, Diddy comes out of prison, he's more open. And like maybe his friends are like, how was it, Diddy? And he's like, oh, it was great. Really? Oh yeah, bro. I got my pushed in, bro. Let me see who catches that movie reference.
Inmates at the Metropolitan Detention Center have reported alarming levels of misconduct and self-harm, reflecting the dire conditions within the facility. With severe understaffing and inadequate medical care, many prisoners find themselves in dangerous situations, leading to widespread issues such as physical altercations among inmates.
Privileged material different. The feds usually have a taint or dirty team of agents who aren't working on the case to conduct these searches. That way, if they see privileged materials, the clean team won't be disqualified from the case. It goes on to say as well, the prosecutors have reason to believe Diddy is obstructing justice from the prison by contacting witnesses through intermediaries. They made the same argument during his bail hearing. I think they have evidence to back it up.
As the case unfolds, all attention will be on Judge Subramanian's rulings, which will decide whether the prosecution can continue without setbacks or if the defense's allegations of misconduct lead to a dramatic shift in the case. Do you think the timing of the search in Diddy's cell uncovers a deeper story? Share your thoughts in the comments below.